Welcome to the You Can Man podcast, episode 20. I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dave.
And on this week's episode, our favorite follows.
All right, guys, welcome back. Episode 20.
Whoa.
I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
That's a milestone.
It is 20 episodes. We've been consistent every week.
Yes.
Have we gotten better or worse?
I'd like to think we've gotten better.
At podcasting?
Yeah.
Okay. Or as people.
I hope we've gotten better.
Well, as people, that's not enough time to change.
Yeah. No, I think we've gotten better. And yeah, 20 weeks in a row is not bad for three dads of young children. I mean,
that's pretty impressive. Now, we have had to take a couple weeks off and then double up.
Yep, but we got it done.
Made it happen.
Now, we don't have a cushion really anymore, so we pretty much have to record every week. So there's that.
Well,
But
I don't look at it as have to because, I love what I do.
that's right.
That's
right.
No, we've been having fun, and 20 episodes is a pretty big deal. All right, guys, you both ran the Peachtree Road Race recently.
Yep.
And which is for listeners that don't know, it's the South's biggest.
It's the world's largest 10K.
Oh, the world.
Biggest
Okay.
10K in the world in terms
I was
of
thinking like Boston
people.
or something.
Yeah, this is our local 4th of July Atlanta 10K road race with 60,000 of our closest friends
It's like
and neighbors.
60,665 or something.
Yeah,
Just a crazy number.
ton of people. One of the most well-managed operations I've ever been a part of. It was my first Peachtree.
It was my 12th. I don't really want to talk
I've
about it.
lived
but
here.
I've done 12. Josh did beat me, though. So
Correct. Yeah, I've lived here my entire life. Never done the Peachtree because I kind of avoid crowds that big if I can. But this was well run. Did not feel crowded. Smooth operating, great weather. And I beat my buddy Dave, and we both got destroyed by my brother Jacob. So it all evens out. But I think I had a respectable finish for my age and how long I've not been running. So
yeah, it was a good run. You did a great job. I did a terrible job. Moving on.
okay, you don't want to no fill in details. Then?
No, look, I own. I didn't run well.
You
Okay,
own your time. Okay,
I cut a tree down.
that's fine.
Does that
nice.
You did?
I did.
I saw you got your chainsaw snagged.
count? I did.
Can you cut a tree down at my house that's hanging over my house? Was it a tree like that? There's no way it was.
No, there was still some danger of it falling on a fence. I was able to teach my son Luke proper technique to take down a tree, though. I was like, all right, look, I'm making this notch in the front of it. The center of this notch is where I want this tree to fall. Okay. And it did. And then after it fell, I'm like, where did it fall? To my son Luke. And he just looks at me like, where did it fall? He just looks at me. I'm like,
He's not
at
following.
the center of the notch. It fell at the center of the notch. He just wasn't.
He wasn't celebrating.
He
It.
wasn't.
All right, old man, keep talking.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly like that. But anyways, so currently cleaning all that mess up. But it's always fun to cut down trees, and it's really satisfying.
It is. Yeah, chainsaws are fun. Be super careful, but they can be fun.
Don't do it in shorts like I was doing.
No.
It was funny because the whole time I'm doing this, I'm telling Luke, all right, I should really be wearing leather chaps and a face mask.
100%.
I'm in shorts.
Well, that's
no
what-
eye protection.
Yeah, I mean, all the parenting experts say just explain it to your kids.
Yeah,
but
don't
actually
show
do
it.
it.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I hear.
They pick it
Yeah,
up. Sam, I
so-
got a question for you over there. I know, is that a Yeti tumbler that you got going on? Like a brand name Yeti?
It is, but it was given.
I was going to say it's very much not Tim Harmon.
Do you really think I'd buy this?
No, I don't. And
Now look,
I'm asking. Go ahead.
I've got an Aldi version. Like
Aldi makes one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a Walmart one, but I recently bought one just like that, paid money, $30 plus tax, was just crazy. But I bought it from REI, and I want to hate on REI for just a minute. Do you guys ever shop there?
I do. I've recently.
Are you a rewards member?
I am.
Okay.
I shop there, but don't buy anything.
That doesn't
Does that
make
count?
You
That doesn't
browse
make
there.
sense.
You
Well,
browse
if you
there.
go shopping, you just look. I love looking at the stuff there.
My wife would argue that's not
just-
shopping because I try and pass it by her all the time. And I'm like, let's go shopping, but spend no money. And she's like, well, that's not fun. But anyway, back to hating on REI real quick. I go in there every time. I refuse to join their club just because I don't want to join anybody's club. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't want to do it.
Besides the You Can Man Club.
Yeah, besides having a You Can Man tattoo across my chest. But I'm not joining the REI club. Part of it is you got to pay $20. Anyway, they ask you every time. They're like, are you a rewards member? I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, have you heard about the program? I'm like, yes, I have. And they said, okay, well, do you understand, the benefits? And I'm like, yes, I do. And so this woman is going through that thing. And I'm like, look, I don't want to join. And she's like, okay, well, do you know somebody who's a rewards member who would like to use your unused rewards from buying? And I'm like, just sell me the cup, lady. Like every time I go in there spend $15.
You should have been like, do you want to use them? Do you want to use them?
Yeah, it drives me crazy. And REI, listen, it's keeping me from coming into your store. Okay, so chill out with the rewards program. I'm not joining.
I'm going to disagree with Dave because I'm a frequent shopper. More recently, signed up for the rewards. It's already gotten my money back. I was able to shop at like one of their yard sales, which they like only open up.
Yeah, they get you back into the store to spend more money.
Yeah, but I was already going to. I had all this camping stuff
diametrically
on my list.
Opposed to it.
Well, yes, I agree. Don't shop just because you have a coupon, but I'm going to be shopping there more frequently.
And you couldn't buy this stuff on Amazon for cheaper?
No.
Huh.
No.
Now, okay, so now that I've hated on them, I will say that they do have very knowledgeable salespeople who seem like they want to be there, and they have I've returned one thing there before. They have a fantastic no hassle reward or return policy. And so anyway,
so you don't like just being sold a reward?
Yeah, I don't want to. Okay. Don't hassle me every time I come in there to join your club. Not doing
REI. Well, if you want to sponsor the show, we'd love to.
If you want to sponsor us, I'll take it all back and I'll join your program.
REI is a great establishment. All right, so I have an update. I have two updates that reference previous shows for our hardcore listeners, but mostly for you guys around this table. So just last episode, we were talking or 2 episodes ago, it was the Chick-fil-A episodes with Josh Young, and he mentioned in his interview process, they asked him if he ate Chick-fil-A sandwiches. And he gave us that example of the lady who was a vegetarian who made it all the way through this process. Anyway, I was online the other day on LinkedIn, and sometimes jobs will pop up in your side browser that you may be interested in these. And there was a Chick-fil-A job, and I just clicked on it and read the description. One of the line items in the description of this Chick-fil-A job, it was Chick-fil-A corporate, said ability to ingest all menu items.
Wow.
No lie. No lie. Yes.
That's crazy.
I wonder how they can get away with that.
Don't know.
Well,
privately held company.
It just makes sense that if you work somewhere that you would enjoy the product, but to kind of push it that hard is a little,
you have to be able to eat our food.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not a big deal to me, but I guess to some
you need to be able to at least be a promoter of it, right?
Sure.
And so
you got to be able to describe how good it is.
Ingest all menu items.
Ability to ingest all menu items. Yeah. Another one where I'm going to, what do they call seed. I'm going to cede a point to Tim, CEDE.
Yeah.
Wire connectors. So
I was thinking about those this weekend.
We're talking about push-ins versus the screw.
And you did some research, and people were like, they're great.
Well, they're great because they're fast, all right? And that's, again, my problem. And the ones that are clippy, and I don't know exactly which ones you got, but the ones that come with a lot of light kits or fan kits that you just push in, and it's 2 thin metal tabs that just squeeze on each side of the wire. I don't like that. But
all right, I got them right over here. I'm going to go grab them.
Okay,
I'll be right back.
Go get them, Josh. So tell me.
Okay, so here's.
Well, I was using. I don't do electrical, and this weekend I put in an overhead light in our dining room, and I used the wire nuts. And I know what you were saying, because when you put those wire nuts on, it's like a positive. You are threading them onto the wire, and it feels like a good connection.
Yeah, it's a lot of surface area is what I like about the wire nuts. Now,
okay, I seriously, just for our listeners,
open them up.
I installed a light above
Give
our
me those
table.
things. I want to see them.
So these aren't as weak as the ones I'm envisioning, but there's another stage. Now these are called Wago wire connectors, and if you are in the electrical business, you know what these are. They're similar.
That's what those are.
Yeah, they're similar. Well, these
These look like the Harbor Freight brand.
These specifically,
Home Depot, homie.
So the Wago wire connectors specifically have a lever that you clamp down. So like you push it in, and then a lever clamps down on top of it. Like where the
Okay,
orange
that's
things
not
are.
what those are.
So it's close though. The design is similar.
I will.
Anyway,
I will
here-
post a photo.
Post photo of those and post. We'll send
On the show
link to
notes.
the Wago connectors. But Wago wire connectors are, again, if you're in the electrical field, you're like, duh. But they are used in Europe and Australia. It's like the law. You use these in Europe
really?
and Australia. So they must be as mechanically sound or better than wire connectors. And I think it is that wire connectors can turn loose over time.
My
They can
problem
unwind,
with the wire nuts is you can't see in there.
That
You
too.
can't get a visual on them.
That too. So, and these are the Wago connectors. They're way more expensive, but they're faster. So electricians like to use them, and they say the connection's just as good. And Europe's usually kind of got it going on when it comes to a lot of code stuff. So anyway, the reason a lot of the U.S. Doesn't adopt it yet is in some areas of construction, like governments, universities, hospitals. A lot of times, those construction specifications don't allow for Wago style connectors. They only will. They require that you use wire nuts. Like it's because
You mean just
the
on
code
the
just hasn't-
books?
I
On
could-
the
I
on the
could-
books, and if you so if
Could
you're a
opine for days on these specifications.
so if you're
but,
if you're a contractor on one of these jobs and you can't use those connectors, and so there's just been a problem with adoption. So maybe one day we'll see those mandated, but I wanted to kind of seed that point, Tim. That
All right.
they're pushing connectors if they're the right kind.
I'm telling you, they're
Perfectly
great.
valuable or viable solution.
it's not the Josh Matthews I know, but good job. Good on you for admitting a
dare you.
wrong.
All right,
It's
let's.
so rare. That
Should we
that you're wrong.
should we get into the topic at hand today?
Let's do it.
Okay, so you may be wondering, what in the world does that even mean? That title. So what we wanted to do is quickly today during the show go over some of the people that we follow either on social media, YouTube. Maybe for Dave, it's his Reddit threads. I don't know.
I love Reddit.
We'll see.
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, so these are folks that we follow that may, kind of keep our skills honed, or we're learning new things about different trades, or maybe it's just pure entertainment. Nothing wrong with that. If you're a listener of the show, you likely have similar interests to the three of us here, so you may find something random that you'd like to follow. So these are just kind of folks that we follow that are our favorites, and we thought you should know, and maybe you could give them a look.
Yeah, and we will definitely be linking all these guys up on our social media.
Sure thing.
And on our show notes so that you guys don't feel like you got to, write this down or anything. We'll have this on the show notes for you later. I've got, I think, a lot more than you guys.
Yeah, you
So
do.
I might just go first.
Just
if that's
go first.
Cool. Okay. I wanted to mention this guy first because he should be coming on the show coming up here shortly, I hope.
Okay.
It all depends on when he gets in town into Atlanta. But his YouTube channel is Nashville Early Bronco.
Whoa.
Solid.
Got to get them on.
Yep. Guy named John Melton. And messaged back and forth with him a few times. But anyways, I had messaged him months ago. And I was like, man, love what you're doing. He does how-to videos on how to work on your early Bronco. I was like, man, I really wish that I had your videos 10 years ago.
know. How nice would that be?
More than 10 years ago now, that I was working on my Bronco, because it was the first time that I had worked on a vehicle. Well, I guess I'd worked on a vehicle that old before, but first time I had done this extensive of a
Full rebuild.
Yeah.
And even with just small jobs like these YouTube guys, it's a game changer.
Yeah, YouTube wasn't around 15 years ago when we were tinkering on our cars.
Yeah, but he's a videographer that's his profession, right? So he already does like an amazing job at doing these YouTube videos. But he's got this whole series on how to make a better Bronco, right? And even if you don't have a Bronco, it really does translate. If you've got an old truck or something like that, a lot of the things that he talks about will translate into tons of vehicles around that age range. So definitely check out Nashville Early Bronco.
That's a good one. I follow him. And yeah, I don't own a Bronco, but love looking at the process, love looking at the beautiful
Well, we need to get
cars.
him down here because, maybe after the podcast, he can help me get my OJ Bronco running.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're hopefully going to have him on to talk about what Ford needs to not mess up with the new Bronco, right? Because we've been literally hearing for, I don't know how long. Well, I guess since
decade.
1996, right?
It's been at least a decade that they've been, there's been rumors and they've been talking about it. It's
If
going
you
to happen.
have been hiding under a rock and you just don't know what we're talking about, Ford is going to re-release the Ford Bronco.
Apparently this year.
Yeah.
I know we've been hearing that, but I honestly think it's this year.
I hope we get that show out before.
Yeah,
But even
we'll see. We
have
even if
to
we
get it
don't,
out.
but even if we don't, we can still have the show with John
Yes.
on it to talk about the amazing
Sure
new
thing.
Bronco.
We should do a show like when they release it, so we all see it at the same time, and
That's
we
a
can
good
all be
idea.
like, "No!"
We'll watch it like the Apple releases the new
Yes,
iPhone thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go next, if that's okay.
Josh's turn.
This is a guy that I follow. I've been following for maybe a year and a half.
I know who you're going to say.
Okay. And following him about a year and a half, and I watch his Instagram stories almost every day. And this is on Instagram, by the way. His name is the Keystone Carpenter on Instagram.
Not who I was thinking.
Yeah. I was going to be surprised if you guessed him. His name is the Keystone Carpenter on Instagram. His real name is Brendan O'Sullivan. He is a contractor, a residential contractor in Pennsylvania.
I follow that guy.
Yeah, he is so solid. I think it's because he's like my age and has a college degree and kind of did the college thing and got a job and did some real estate and but always came back to contracting and just finally started his own business. And
He's meticulous.
he's so meticulous. He's what every contractor should be. He's expensive, but he's booked up because he's that good, and he keeps a clean job site. He's meticulous, and he shows his mistakes, and that's what I love about him. And I've actually messaged back and forth with him on questions I've had. I'm like rerouting my shower, and I'm like, hey, what do you think's the best solution here? Anyway, this guy is just super solid dude. Clean work, beautiful bathrooms. His bathrooms are like his specialty. He does like full basement remodels too, but his bathrooms are just like nothing you've ever seen. And you might be shocked when he'll reveal these price tags on these bathrooms, on these little bathrooms. But with the work you get,
It is
it's amazing.
and it is his area. The Northeast is just automatically going to be a little
More expensive.
little bit more expensive.
And like permitting is a big deal up there. I mean, it should be a big deal everywhere. I say should. It depends on your views on that, but a lot of regulations, and he shows that process too. Anyway, Keystone Carpenter on Instagram.
My turn.
I guess. Did you?
Well,
Dave isn't much of a social media.
I'm not a
person.
social media person. I don't do the social media life really at all. And I feel like we're going to be talking a lot about construction people that we follow. Maybe we're not, but
No.
I don't really follow any construction guys, probably because I work in construction. When I come home,
There you go.
I got, like Tim, maybe I'm wrong, but you probably don't want to come home and watch a bunch of videos on photography at night.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, so I follow, really, we were talking about this earlier. I really follow just guys that play guitar and shoot guns. That's kind of it. So when I come home,
Those are
like
cool hobbies.
I just want to kind of like, turn my brain off. And so there's a guy, as far as guitar stuff goes, I mean, he's probably, I'm guessing is the biggest guitar guy on YouTube. Paul Davids, he's a guy from the Netherlands, does pretty cool videos. A little side note, every once in a while, like one moment in every video, he looks exactly like me. It's really weird.
okay.
Like if you saw a picture of me, you'd be like, that Dave, that's not you. But every once in a while, he has like a flash.
Is it just because like you're kind of envisioning yourself as him,
No,
or-
because I'm a terrible guitar player. But I've shown it to Maggie, and she's like, oh, and Maggie says, my wife says I have a sickness that I see. I'll be like, that guy looks like Tiger Woods. She's like, no, he doesn't. And so she's like,
You have some sort
you
of
have a sickness.
dysmorphia.
I say I have a gift. She says it's a sickness, but she'll admit, she'll be like, whoa, he looked just like you. Anyway,
What's his name again?
Paul Davids,
YouTube? Is that where you get him?
YouTube, great guitar videos.
Sweet.
All right. I guess back to me.
Do it.
All right, Josh, this guy is going to be on your list. And if
Okay.
he's not, I'll be very shocked.
All right.
Matt Reisinger.
Yes.
Of course. So he is a builder from Texas. What city is he from?
Austin. He does Austin area.
This guy, I guess a lot like the Keystone Carpenter guy. Very meticulous.
But he's got a bigger business. He's got a
Yeah,
much bigger
it's huge.
business.
He's a new home,
construction.
new construction. Well, he does some remodels,
Mm-hmm.
but he's been in the business for like what 20 plus years.
Yep.
But he is always on the forefront of new technologies,
New products.
Yeah, building science, I guess is what you would call that. Amazing job at all his YouTube videos. You know, he hires the video guy, and they do a really, really solid job. So it's actually enjoyable to watch. You know, it's not him just walking around with his iPhone. You know, he's got somebody filming him. The videos are so well laid out, and I always learn something.
Yeah.
You know, because he not only is he talking to contractors, but you'll gain a lot of information just as being a homeowner.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the things that he talks about translates into what you could do DIY
Absolutely.
on projects. So definitely check out him. Well, it's Matt Reisinger, but it's the Build Show.
The Build Show is what he calls it. But yeah, it's Matt Reisinger
On
YouTube
the Build
channel.
Show.
On the YouTube
That's how he. It's kind of cheesy at the end, but that's how he.
He knows it's cheesy and he's leaning into it.
Yeah, it's
So
always
it's good.
weird when he's completely serious, and then at the very end he's just like big smile on the Build Show. It's anyways. If you guys have seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
He's a good dude. You always learn something. He shows you the why behind these new products, because a bunch of new products come out and you're like, is this really necessary? He kind of shows you where it is necessary. All right, my go. So we're gonna get outside of construction here. This is one I've recently found in the past 4 or 5 months, and I've been watching with my son a few nights a week before bed. We kind of turn on the YouTube. He's got this YouTube channel called Alex Rebuilds, and this is a young guy in his mid-20s, I'd say. He's in South Carolina, and he purchases exotic cars from insurance auctions, and he inspects them, and these insurance auctions have gotten super sophisticated online, and they'll have like 360-degree views of these cars so that you can really kind of try to see what's wrong with it and how damaged it is.
And these are quote unquote totaled cars.
Correct. These are totaled cars that the insurance company has written off, and they're selling them at auction. So he kind of sees what condition they're in, and he's like, you know what? I could buy that. I could spend X amount of dollars, turn it around, sell it with a rebuilt title. But he buys things like the brand new Acura NSX, the brand new Dodge Viper, the Dodge Hellcat. Those are all ones that we've seen him rebuild. And he does great work. And what's great about him is he's young, and he is not an automotive mechanical expert or genius or anything. He is like learning as he goes, learning how to take cars apart, put them back together. And at the end of the day, he has this beautiful product that's almost showroom new.
Yeah, I'm
besides
pretty
the
sure that I've
title.
seen that guy. And there's another guy, B is for Build. I don't know if you've seen it.
Haven't seen
Same kind of thing. Like
Okay.
he's been working on like a Lamborghini or something like that. But he, you know, and I'm sure this, what is it?
Alex Rebuilds.
Alex Rebuilds. You know, they'll show the video of the car arriving on the back of
on the wrecker.
on the wrecker, and you're like, no freaking way this thing is coming back to
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And then when they just start stripping it all the way down
Yep.
to the unibody, it's just, and they start rebuilding it from there.
Yeah.
So he sells them from there, because I can imagine that rebuilding, these exotic cars is not cheap.
It's
right?
not, but he buys them. I mean, they're written off. They're almost, the insurance company doesn't want them. Now he's still spending, depending on the car, $50,000, $60,000.
Right.
But at the end, he's put in 40,000 to rebuild it. And he's still selling, depending on the car, again, like over $100,000, because it's really showroom new. These cars have like 20 to 40,000 miles on them. Guys, there's a market for it. You know? So anyway,
That's a really good one
it's a
because
good channel, and he shows every step of the process.
because
Every
that
step.
gives you an in-depth look at parts of cars that you may never see
Yeah.
because you're never going to take the whole front of a car apart.
Yep.
So Yeah, it's really good.
And it's a really you can man spirit, because I'll be watching him do this and I'm like, there is no way I could ever do this. Like, and he's got a nice shop and stuff, but I'm like, there's no way I could ever do this. But then he'll be taking the car apart and get to a certain part and he's like, I don't really know what this is or what it goes to. And I'm like, that's the what I, like, I know what he, so it's that balance of like, he's just getting into it and figuring it out. So it's very cool.
Yeah,
very
you
cool.
could totally do it. I've taken a car apart and put it back together. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
That's right.
Of course, mine was a 1975, so a little different.
A little bit easier back then. So kind of keeping in the car vein, I was going to mention, so this is, I'm new to Instagram. My buddy Tim actually borderline required
Have you actually posted anything?
I haven't posted anything, posted nothing. But so I've started following some people or some accounts or whatever on Instagram, and I was going to mention Blue Ridge Bronco. I guess I am mentioning it, but you already mentioned a Bronco.
Very nice.
Guy. So another one that I follow is Toyo Cruisers. I think Josh. So Josh and I have a soft spot for Toyota Land Cruisers. I've always wanted to own one. I don't know if it'll ever happen because they're crazy expensive. But
89 and older.
89. I don't know. I like them all. I like everyone. I like the brand new ones. I like the super old ones. But this is mostly the early generations, and it's just straight up eye candy.
Yes.
Like beautiful photos of these really, really nice Land Cruisers. And basically, it just makes me sad when I look at it because I'm like, man, these things are way out of my price range. But yeah, Toyo Cruisers, really cool Instagram account. A lot of great pictures.
Cool. All right, I'll keep moving down my list. Maybe we'll cover two because I think I got more than you guys. But I've mentioned this guy before when we did the driveway car repairs. Chris Fix.
Yep.
If you've ever gone on YouTube and looked up any repair, chances are good you come across one of his videos.
Yep.
He's like the king of car repair stuff. So definitely check out Chris Fix. Either of you guys ever seen any from the Essential Craftsmen?
No.
I don't think
It's
so.
an older guy, and I think his son or something maybe videos him.
Okay.
He's like your dad. I mean, he's the dad that knows everything, and he was the builder, and he's got all these series of like, this is how we're gonna do the foundation of this house, and he's just got this really just calm dad voice. That's the best way to do. Look, when you go look this up, you can be like, yeah, that's totally right. You know, I remember watching a video of him just demonstrating different knots.
Nice.
You know, but he kind of talks down to you a little bit, like he's got this weird
Like he's
kind
your
of
dad.
yeah, exactly. But just the knowledge that this man has is incredible. So definitely check out Essential Craftsmen. Another awesome one, a young guy actually, Rainfall Projects. You guys heard of this guy?
Never.
He's a farmer. Okay, he's got to be no older than 30, but incredibly talented. He does all this crazy stuff on his CNC machine. It's basically like, think of something you can build or fix around the farm or something, and he does it. I'm doing a bad job of explaining it. Check it out. Rainfall Project. I know it's a weird name. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's explained like where he got that from before, but Rainfall Projects, amazing, amazing stuff.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to do another automotive one. And this is one that I know Dave knows, and Dave hates it. And
Oh man, I know where you're going.
I kind of love it. Part of me, it's on YouTube. His name is Doug DeMuro, and he does car reviews. He is an average Joe.
I've seen that guy.
Say an average Joe. He's a straight up average dude. I think he went to Emory, so
Yeah,
he seems like a real smart
was
guy.
like
but
he does like the drive, like he's driving it,
drives
and he
it.
does a video.
He wears two T-shirts in every video, and like he's
But he'll
got
do the walk around,
The
too.
undershirt is hanging out.
Yes. He is a. He started out just doing random like car reviews of cool cars.
He's really
that he
built it
liked.
up though,
And,
right?
Oh, he's huge now. He's got 2 YouTube channels. He's traveling the world. He's
Yep.
living in San Diego now, just reviewing cars out on the West Coast. But he still holds apparently a regular job. Like the video he just released was talking about how he has a regular job still. But
He's a writer, isn't he, or a
He does like Auto Trader,
Yeah.
like articles or columns or something. I'm sure he does other things, but yes, he does average dude car reviews, which is pretty cool. He goes through what he calls the quirks and features of all these cars. These cars could be old Lamborghinis from the 70s. They could be the brand new Toyota Tacoma that just came out. It could be the weirdest car, the BMW Isetta with like the one door on the front that Steve Urkel drove one time. It could be anything, and he reviews it and all the quirks and features, and then he takes it on a test drive and gives you his opinion while he's test driving.
And you
it.
get the Doug score.
And you get a Doug score. And yeah, he's kind of goofy.
I love him. Josh said it's a love-hate thing for me.
He wears, so he early on, when he was just putting it out there and not polishing it, it's still unpolished, but he would wear T-shirts with a white undershirt under it, like we all used to do in 1997. And he's kind of the same era. And that was a thing, right? But he's doing it in 2019. And so people on the YouTube comments, the YouTube comments are the worst place on the internet. But they were just, trying to like pick him apart and stuff. And they're like, Doug's the kind of dude that wears a white T-shirt under his T-shirt. Well, he obviously is reading some comments. And so like in multiple videos, he references like how he does
the
that.
Sleeve hanging out of the sleeve.
What am I going to do? So he's kind of self-aware that way. So anyway, Doug DeMuro on YouTube. Very cool car reviews. I love it.
Yeah, Josh does love it. We send each other videos all the time. And Doug, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Give us a call because we love you, man. But there are some things we would fix. Like, how does he start off this?
That's his thing.
I know it is.
Man.
I know it is. I'm not going to put comments on YouTube, but I want to pick them apart too. Anyway, all right.
Doug, come on the show. We'll have you.
All right. So this is going to be my last one. And this is kind of a deep cut. Okay. So I don't feel like a ton of people. I know you guys have never seen one of his videos, but so both of you know that I have a soft spot or an affinity for pocket knives. I love pocket knives.
Compulsion.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Okay, I do try and hide it, but I love pocket knives. I love really nice pocket knives. So there's this guy on YouTube, and he reviews pocket knives. Okay, his name's Nick Shabazz. If you're a pocket knife person, you've watched a Nick Shabazz video. All right, so you guys need to check him out. His voice is. He has an unbelievable voice. Okay, I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
But he does these, and he's kind of nerdy, and he's again self-aware, kind of like Doug DeMuro is. Makes fun of himself, and he has like the shtick where nobody knows what he looks like. Okay, so he reviews.
That's how Chris Fix is.
Yeah, and there's all these like theories on the internet about him. And anyway, but he does these reviews of these pocket knives, like 30-minute long reviews of a pocket knife, which you're like, how is that possible? But if you get into this world, it becomes a thing. And he does review other things. I think he does watches and flashlights. So check him out, Nick Shabazz. If you want a review, if you want to find a good pocket knife, watch one of his videos.
I can tell you that is right up the alley of a bunch of our listeners.
Yeah, it should be. It should be.
No, I'm dead serious. Like
I will check him out.
Check out Nick Shabazz. I'll send you guys a video or two.
I have been wearing my pocket knife more recently.
Hey, look, every guy, every man needs to carry a pocket knife.
Truth.
Agreed.
Needs to happen.
All right, I'll list out just a few more here. So Alec Steele. You guys ever seen the British guy? And he's a blacksmith.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yeah. You've had to have seen some of his stuff.
Yeah, this is ringing a bell. I don't know his name.
You'd really like it. He's a super young guy. He's got to be no more than, 25 or something like that. He started his channel when he was still living in England, and he moved to the U.S. recently this year, I think, to Montana and opened up a new shop there. And he's got all these crazy videos. He usually does it in series, like, the katana blade, the whatever. It's just incredibly. I'm like, when did you start learning blacksmithing? When you were like 4?
Yeah, it feels like a lost trade.
Yeah, I'm just like, if I started now, I might be as good as you when I'm 70.
Well, his uncle was Thomas Jefferson. So.
Yeah, dude, the guy is incredible. So definitely check out Alec Steele. Look, we can't end the show without talking about This Old House.
Oh, obviously.
Right? I mean, come on, guys.
Obviously.
Man, pinnacle. I mean, they started it.
That is the do-it-yourself, like home improvement.
You got to follow This Old House and Kevin O'Connor.
Yes,
well.
Kevin O'Connor.
Yep, I tagged him, and he did message me back.
Saw that.
So on our Instagram stories, all of you I know saw this, right?
Of course.
But This Old House is celebrating 40 years, and so they've been releasing like first episodes of the very, very early seasons. So they released the very first episode. Bob Vila was the original host, so I watched that. Super excited about it. It was awesome. And just hearing Bob Vila talk about this is what we're going to do on This Old House.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm like, you were 40 years ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Well, 30 years, whatever.
That's really good. 40, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as far as when other HGTV or whatever kind of shows, but they don't even compare.
Look,
doesn't even compare.
This Old House, if you're listening and you haven't figured it out yet, you need to have Tim on your show because he is, without a doubt, your biggest fan and your biggest champion. Like, Tim is sold out on This Old House.
I have not watched every single episode of all 40 years, but
You've seen most of them.
Well, I genuinely do think that I've watched every episode since Kevin O'Connor has been the host because I don't know if they still have the full episodes on YouTube, but for a while, maybe a couple of years back, they were putting all of the full episodes on YouTube, which I think they've switched now to where you have this paid thing. It's like This Old House Insider.
I don't need
which
that.
you'd
I
think
like
that I would be one, but
I like the Saturday morning This Old House episode. Like, that's what This Old House is to me, is on Saturday morning. That's when you watch it.
Yeah, but I can't say enough good things about This Old House or Ask This Old House.
Solid.
I'll just list off a couple other things, and then Josh, you've got one last one.
Got two, but yeah.
Okay, two. Another guy, and he works on a lot of like newer Fords. Ford Tech Make You Loco. I know it sounds like,
Okay.
I know it sounds like a really dumb name, but this guy is a Ford mechanic. And if you have any like newer Ford, say you got some like Ford 250 diesel or something.
That Tech Make You Loco.
So he walks you through, this is how the dealership would fix this problem. Or he's got stuff like, if you're about to buy a 2008 through 2012 Ford F-150, look for these things, right?
Nice.
So he's seen it all because he worked at the Ford dealership. He's like master mechanic, and he walks you through all this kind of stuff. So definitely check him out. Jimbo's Garage. You guys checked out Jimbo's Garage?
No.
Oh, man, older dude. And he just makes all these custom things for people. So I don't know how he gets this business. I don't know, but it's like, I need this custom steel pergola thing or something. And he makes it in his shop and videos all of it. He's a master fabricator is really what he is. Jimbo's Garage. And then another guy is I Like to Make Stuff.
Okay.
You've seen that guy, no?
I don't know.
Okay. A mutual friend of ours knows him.
Okay.
I think went to school with him. Wesley went to school with him. He's average dude and just makes all kinds of stuff. His latest project, I think, was like a tree house. So I watched that.
Cool.
But he makes all these kind of like nerdy things too. But along the way, he's kind of learned. So like he did a series on like, I'm kind of learning how to weld, right? So he would do these projects and you get to watch him kind of learn how to weld, right? So I Like to Make Stuff. So that's a really good one as well. Okay, Josh.
Sweet. Okay.
Last two, go.
I'll close these out. All right. One is, this sounds really random. This is on Instagram. We're going to hope to have him on the show soon. His account is The Pond Digger.
Yeah.
Eric Triplett out in California. He owns a pond company. So he designs and builds and maintains these custom ponds. I mean, they can run up into the, $50,000, $100,000 ponds for big houses out in California. And he kind of just he shows you his day. He shows you his day almost every day and the problems that go with owning your own business. He's really strong into DIY. He's got a lot of resources on if you just want to make your own little small pond in your backyard. Here's what you need. Here's how you can do that. So,
and he's a koi fish expert.
Yes, he loves koi. He's done some amazing things. I've watched him pull like 80 koi that were like 9 pounds or something out of some lady's pond that she'd let go.
And those things are worth crazy money too.
Yeah, they can be worth thousands of dollars.
Insane.
A koi fish?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully he'll be on to talk more about that. The last one is Instagram account is RR Buildings.
Yes.
This is his name is Kyle Stumpenhorst. RR Buildings. He does giant metal sheds out in Illinois. Just these massive sheds that can hold motorhomes and like heavy equipment.
A post beam barns.
Post and
basically.
beam, yep. Yeah. And he just does it right. He's super meticulous. Very takes pride in his work. And again, he's a guy that's on camera every day, showing you how he's doing things, where he's messing up, what he's doing right, what he does different, how he squares up these massive structures using, chains and come-alongs and just to get it perfect. He doesn't just do the minimum. Anyways, another meticulous builder that I love following.
I've seen his stuff. It's awesome for sure.
Yep.
All right, Josh, you've got the bonus segment for us this week, yeah?
I've got a segment, yeah. And
Okay.
I'll go ahead and give you the name.
Okay.
Segment is called Like a Hole in the Head.
Like a hole in the head. All right, I'm looking forward to that one. We'll be back after the break.
This episode is sponsored by 1776 United. 1776 United is a patriotic and historically inspired lifestyle brand. They make the best patriotic shirts and apparel on the market today. I personally own many of their products, and if you want to don patriotic gear without looking gaudy, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and at 1776united.com.
All right, welcome back, Josh. Segment Like a Hole in Your Head. Is that what you said?
Like a hole in the head.
Like a hole in the head.
Like a hole in your head.
Yeah, I need this like a hole in the head.
Okay.
That saying.
A hole in my head?
All right.
In the head.
What the heck is that about?
All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell 3 different stories. They all are related in a way, in a weird way. And here we go. We're going to start with the first story out of...
Is this a game? Do we have to connect the dots or anything?
No, they'll be connected for you.
All right.
This is just like story time.
Kind of story time, basically.
Can we just interject whenever we want?
This is like news article story time. 3 stories. Maryborough, Australia. This is 3 hours north of Brisbane, if you're familiar with
I
Australia.
do not know the geography of
I don't
Australia.
really either, but I looked it up. So they're 3 hours from a big city, basically. Maryborough, way out in the country. They call it the country out in Australia.
Mate,
So 12-year-old boy, his name's Nicholas Rossi. He falls off his bike. He's just riding his bike in his neighborhood. Falls off his bike, no helmet, cracks his head, and knocked unconscious
whoa.
temporarily,
Yeah.
momentarily. So his mom says, or his dad was saying he was a bit delirious, but he stood up, said he was good. When we got home, he kept saying he had a headache, and the mom was a nurse. So she said, let's go ahead and take him into basically the urgent care place in their little small country town. So takes the boy to Dr. Carson, who kept him for observation. And after about an hour, the boy starts drifting in and out of consciousness and having some convulsions. And so doctors immediately this is very bad. Immediate sign of internal bleeding in the skull. And there must have been some kind of pressure in the brain. So the symptoms he was demonstrating pointed to this kid's got bleeding on the brain. Problem is needed a neurosurgeon. And they're out in the country.
I already know where this is going, and I'm not happy about it.
The boy has fractured his skull, torn a tiny artery between the brain and the bone above his ear. And this is causing a blood clot, which is putting tons of pressure on his brain. And he's basically about to die. These situations are very dire. And small hospital, don't have a lot of equipment. He just straight up told the parents, look, I'm going to have to drill a hole in his head.
Like it's the 1700s.
To relieve this pressure. And I've only got one shot
Did he
to
use
do
a
it.
manual drill, though?
So he said the small hospital was not equipped with neurological drills. So he goes into the maintenance closet, grabs him a DeWalt drill.
No. When was this?
This
when was
is
this?
2009.
Wow.
Grabs a DeWalt drill. Gets a neurosurgeon on the phone that's in Melbourne, which is even way further south in Australia. David Wallace, not the David Wallace from The Office. The neurosurgeon David Wallace in Melbourne gets him on the phone. Neurosurgeon walks him through the procedure.
How did he start out this conversation? Did he say, hey, I've got a DeWalt drill in my hand and a little boy who needs a hole in his head?
He's like, this kid is about to die from a blood clot in his brain.
Did he take
crazy.
a lighter to the drill bit or
I'm
something?
sure he had
obviously.
he had an anesthesiologist with
Just
him.
run it under the water.
He had a staff. He had a staff of nurses and other
Kid about
doctors.
to get a staph infection.
So the neurosurgeon walks him through and tells him how to drill, how deep to go, and he drilled right below the bruise that was on the side of the kid's head. And the father says he could hear the suction when that pressure was released. And a big blood clot like fell out, and then blood was flowing out. Then he used forceps to make the hole even a little bigger, put a tube in it so that the blood could still drain out. He was getting blood transfused while this was going on.
Unreal.
Anyway, within an hour, he's checked the kid's pupils again. They're acting normal, feels good. And I believe they airlifted him an hour later to a children's hospital. And the neurosurgeon who walked him through called it one of the gutsiest life-saving efforts imaginable.
DeWalt, get that man power tools for life.
Yeah, Dr. Carson used a DeWalt to drill a hole in his kid's head.
2 things.
Yeah.
Number 1, I've done that to like my toenail, to relieve like a smashed toenail. I've done that before to relieve pressure. Entirely different thing, I think, when you do it to your head. Second thing,
you think?
I just, it's funny you mentioned that story because I just read an article yesterday on a neurosurgeon who said that wearing, I don't think he said it's pointless. I think he said it's detrimental for cyclists to wear helmets. Now, I guess I'm a former cyclist. I don't really ride anymore, but a helmet I'm 100% positive, saved my life. And so I thought the article was interesting that it came from a neurosurgeon that said they're detrimental for people to wear them. But I think this story points out.
I need more detail on that.
Yeah, it just seems crazy to me because obviously if you bang your head on a curb, it'd be better to have a helmet on.
The last line of this article is the kid's father saying, he has started his teenage years with a bang, but life can change in a minute. Tell your kids to always wear a helmet.
It's not a bad idea.
That was that father's advice. All right, now, flashback. Idaho, 2003. 29-year-old Ben King falls down his stairs at home, right? Bottom of the stairs, unconscious. Wife finds him, calls the ambulance. Ambulance comes, and he's in bad shape. They can tell that he's got a bad brain injury. And so they're going to drive him to the hospital that's only 15 minutes away, except it's Idaho and the weather's nuts. And they were going to take him to this hospital so that they could life flight him over to Boise, which is where the nearest neurosurgeon is. Well, snowed out in their local hospital. So they have to drive south like 45 minutes, and they meet the helicopter in a church parking lot and deliver this dude to the helicopter. Well, they are about to get on the helicopter, I guess, and the doctor that's on the helicopter is like, this guy's not going to make it. So Dr. Syverston is his name, Dr. Keith Syverston, relieved the pressure on his brain using a Makita drill.
What? Yes.
So, Makita gets some
I'd prefer the Makita to DeWalt personally.
He uses Makita drill to do basically the same procedure to relieve pressure on this dude's brain. And he said, it sounds like an outrageous cowboy move, but it was a calculated risk, and we will risk a lot to save a life. He said, this wasn't heroics. Idaho is one of the last places you can find where you're entitled to do yourself harm, explaining that medical attention, especially emergency medical help, cannot reach victims here as quickly as they might in a large city. So he says, if you're counting on getting a second chance in Idaho, forget it. You don't get to choose how you die.
Wow.
You get a chance to choose how you live. Your life can change just that quickly. So he says,
man, he's proud of his decision.
It's still frontier out there.
It seems like, drilling, I'm obviously no doctor. I'm just an engineer, whatever. But I would think that it's kind of the same premise, right? But it seems like the risk of infection would be the biggest problem.
They're pumping them full of antibiotics right after that.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I want to know
how either they die. Or
I understand that. I'm just saying that I would think that, if you're drilling into somebody's head in a hospital, you're still using a drill to drill into their head, right?
Correct. And that's why
the only difference is that drill in the hospital is $20,000.
Right.
That's the difference.
Sure.
I want to know
also
what's
clean.
That's true. what size drill bit?
Yeah, I couldn't
Did they not
track that down.
really?
Couldn't track that down.
I'm going to say about like a quarter.
I think
inch.
you want to go as small as possible.
Quarter
I'm
inch.
saying an eighth, but we'll
Small as
see.
possible to
I
get.
think quarter
research.
inch. You got to have a big enough thing for a blood clot to
They
come
do
out.
put a tube in it.
Just
yeah.
be safe and go 1
An
inch.
eighth is
right?
too small. You
What
got to have a
inch?
quarter inch.
You need that spade bit. Yeah, on that half-inch bit. All right.
Maybe a
so-
Forstner bit. That might be good.
Yeah. So this dude, Makita actually, and this was 03 before social media, Makita got in on the action on this. They came to, there was like a big ceremony because they honored him for all his work in the local community, improving emergency procedures in general. April 22nd is Keith Cyberston Day in his town. Makita came with shirts and autographs of everyone who contributed to saving Mr. King's life. He was given a baseball cap, so that's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ben King said, I owe my life to everybody here, especially his wife, who's the one that found him. So anyway, Makita
That's
drill.
crazy.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. We got one more part. This is part 3 here. 2003, again, this is Iraq, not Idaho. 2003, Iraq. You guys might know Sanjay Gupta.
Yep.
He is a neurosurgeon and medical journalist. He's seen frequently on CNN. He works at Emory Healthcare as a neurosurgeon at Grady Memorial Hospital as well. He's a local Atlanta guy, TV personality, neurosurgeon. In 03, he went over to Iraq to cover the medical aspects of the invasion in Iraq. While he was there, he performed emergency surgeries on U.S. soldiers and Iraqi civilians. And he was embedded with a naval medical unit at the time, specifically a group of doctors called the Devil Docs, who supported the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. So he was recalling this one day in Iraq. He says, I remember the day well. It was April of 03. 23-year-old Marine, Jesus Vendana, suddenly fell to the ground, his helmet and head bloodied by a sniper's bullet. So this guy shot in the head through the helmet by a sniper. Heart was barely beating. They're trying to rush him to these trauma units. They had these really advanced trauma units there at the time. It really, the Iraq War kicked off this big revolution in medical care for soldiers because they could be so portable and close and have high-tech stuff. And so these soldiers were getting treated within minutes of being injured on the battlefield. Just really, really cool, sophisticated stuff. So bottom line is, as quickly as this guy got wounded, they realized that he had kind of the same condition going on. He had pressure on his brain that had to be relieved. So the doctors turned to Gupta, and they needed to open his head. And the expeditionary force he was with had a Black & Decker power drill. And he took that and, with the help of the other doctors, put a hole in this guy's head.
A second hole.
Second
hole, yes.
Second hole within an hour. He'd been treated, operated on, and was recovering.
Wow.
And yeah, saved that man's life. So in 03, Sanjay Gupta drilled a hole in someone's head with a Black & Decker in Iraq.
I love those stories. There's got to be a dozen more of those.
I'm sure. Yeah. Those are just 3 I came
I also
across.
want to know how that heals back up. Is it a small enough hole to where the skull
No way.
fuses back together?
No way.
Or do you just have a cool...
Or do they put like a piece
hole.
of titanium over the hole or something?
Yeah, I bet they do.
Don't know.
I would
We'll
think
look into
so.
that.
Huh.
All right.
All right. Well, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Hole in your head. All right. Drilling holes in people's heads with drills.
Yeah. Not advised.
You
need to do
can,
that
man.
Under
Yeah.
You can,
You
man.
can, man.
You can, man, if you're on the phone with a neurosurgeon.
Right. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in this week. And we will be posting links to all of the social media people that we talked about, all the YouTubers and Instagrammers that we mentioned on the show today. So definitely check those guys out for some inspiration. Check out our show notes where you'll find all of that information at youcanman.com. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook page. We'll see you next time.
Bye.